Let's become more familiar with the exponential function f of x equals e to the x by making a table of values and graphing it. Alright? So as usual, I'm going to start with e to the 0 power, because any number, even e, even this strange little number e, raised to the 0 power is going to equal what? Did you remember? It's going to equal 1. So I'm just going to write that off to the side. E to the 0 power equals 1. And I'm going to place 1 here in my t-table. Alright, e to the first power, if I flip back a page, that's just the number e, which is about 2.718. Let's just write down 2.7. Let's round these to the nearest tenth. So e to the first power is going to be about 2.7. Alright, let's use our calculator for the rest of these, because e is a very messy number and you wouldn't want to try to do this by hand. So let's do e to the second power. Again, we're putting the 2 where the x is in the function, and that's going to make us raise e to the second power. So again, find your e key on the calculator. Mine shares the ln key, so I press yellow shift, and my e to the x is right there in yellow above this key. I wish you could see it better, but I know it's going to be blurry. And in the calculator, it's going to look like this. I'm going to raise it to the second power, and we're going to round this to the nearest tenth. So it looks like it's going to be about 7.4. Alright, let's do e to the negative 1 power. Let's see, I can actually go back to this function and type over the 2 and put in negative 1. If you have that ability in your calculator, that's the quickest way to do this. Otherwise, just re-enter with the e key and then put a negative 1 in the parentheses. And I'm getting about 0.3, if I round 0.3, well, let's round to the nearest tenth though, like we said we do with the rest of them. So let's go 0.4, because that 6 is going to make us bump the 3 up to a 4. So about 4/10. Alright. And now to the negative 2 power. So again, if you've got a calculator, you can just go back up to that same function. I can type over the negative 1 and make it a negative 2. Otherwise, you get to enter the whole thing again if you don't have that ability. And 0.135, that would round to the nearest tenth at about 0.1. Alright, now we need to graph the function. So let's take a look. As usual, I think I'll skip 2 spaces for my 1, 2, and negative 1, negative 2. And I have to get from 1/10 to 7.4. Well, since I only have a limited amount of space here, I've only got 10 notches, I'm just going to have to go by ones. So if I'm going by ones, I don't have to number it. It's just going to be a little tricky to graph. At negative 2, we've only got 1/10. So left 2, and I don't really hardly go up at all. I'm just going to rest this point on top of the x-axis. At negative 1, I have 4/10. That's almost a half. So I'll go up a little ways off of the x-axis. At 0, I have 1. And you're going to see this function is really going to explode and start to curve upward quickly now. 1, 2.7, so over 1 and up to almost 3, not quite. And then 2, 7 and 4/10, almost 7.5. So over 2 up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and almost a half. So it curves up very rapidly after a few units. And again, it's a curve. I'm going to put arrows on both ends, and we have the lovely function f of x equals e to the x. Now we do have a leading question here that you might want to explore. What x does e to the x equal 5? For what number can you put in for x to get 5? Well, if we look at our table, e to the 1 is 2.7, e to the 2 is 7.4. So what would you guess would get us to approximately 5? Most people would say, well, let's try e to the 1.5, halfway between 1 and 2. So let's do that. E to the 1.5. Let's see, we get 4.48, not quite 5. So then you might want to try 1.6. I've got e to the 1.6 in there. Now I get 4.95. I'm really close to 5. Let's try 1.61. I'm going to add another digit to that. Ooh, I think that's about as close as I'm going to get. I mean, I can get closer if I kept trying more and more decimal places, but that's pretty good. So what x does e to the x equal 5? Well, if I raise e to about 1.61, I get approximately 5. Little wavy equal sign means approximately. Will I ever get exactly 5? What do you think?